Yeah, I love it. I'll always have a guitar next to me. It's my morning routine. Here's my routine in the morning. It's I drive to work. I listen to comedy in the car the entire way to work. I'm the guy like laughing my head off in the car, looking like a moron. And then I get to my office and I play my guitar for 15 minutes. And if I'm working on a new book, which I'm getting ready to start a new book, I'll spend 15 minutes writing, and that's my daily start. Get that done before I start doing my 4 to 6 Zoom calls I do every day.
Right.
Dennis.
Hey, buddy. Matt Battietta, I love your new videos, buddy. I saw a few of them this morning.
You're on mute, buddy.
I said thanks.
I gotta, Bobby. I'm gonna try to catch you with the shirt thing. Hold on a second. Let me get my. Since we have some of the shirts,
but it's not enough. Maybe a little more.
Well, I'm just gonna try to get that. How's that?
Yeah, there you go. Now you're talking. See, we need more ladies. That's what we gotta. If we want to get more ladies on this panel,
yeah, they want to see it. They definitely don't want to see a 61-year-old guy with the shirt off. That's for sure. Unless they're 78.
A lot of girls out there with daddy issues.
That's just wrong. It's funny though. True.
I mean,
there's the real Randy.
There he is.
Yeah, Randy, I called Brian you earlier because somehow you guys got your names mixed up, and I was like, "Hey, Brian." It was great.
All right, we ready to roll on this?
Ready to roll.
Brian Yarver's out. He's back up in Montana.
Yeah.
Okay. Who else do we got on here? Randy's out at the beach. Got Cameron in his pod. Mitch is out at the beach. Matty B is in his deluxe apartment in the sky, and Dennis is there with his hit list behind him.
Looks like
right.
the whole band is back together finally.
That's right. We're all together. So today we're going to discuss how to take the perfect listing appointment and presentation, right? That's our key. That's our goal. How do you get a listing? How do you set it up to get that listing every time and 5-10x your listing production? I like to say, how many people out there want to take 100 listings a year? That's what people want to know. How do you get 100 listings a year, and how do you leverage those listings? So let's go around the horn. Cameron, I'm going to start with you in the Hollywood Squares, or the real estate squares. You're up at the upper left-hand corner. Let's go.
All right. So listings for me, the whole trick with the listing presentation is your pre-listing package. Having something to get to them as soon as you get done with the first call that they can read. We've actually started using High Note to allow us to track what they watch, how much of it they watch. We've transferred from a PDF like we used to do for the last forever to now obviously videos. It works great, but obviously the challenge with all of this is you have to get people to watch the content you give them. So many of the times we'll send it to them. We'll say, "Hey, did you watch it?" And they'll say, yeah, we got it. And then you get out there on the listing presentation and they didn't actually view any of it. Having that has helped us tremendously go from an hour-long presentation to a 30-minute or a 15-minute listing presentation. Yeah, that's really the key, you guys. You got to have something to give them that they can bite into, answers all their questions. We don't try to hook and sinker, or we don't try to reach, it's just, this is what we offer. This is what we do. Here's who we are. This is what we've sold. Obviously for everyone here on the panel, what we've sold is probably our biggest advantage of, we are who we are, who we are. For newer agents or younger agents, make sure you leverage your team, you leverage your the group around you, and you can use those as what we sold. The term "we" is fantastic as long as you get permission from the agents that you're using the term with, and use that as leverage of, hey, we are experienced, we are the team you want to hire, and you can do that with your pre-listing package. So I think that's really a key. Make sure they know who you are, answer all your questions firsthand before you get out there, and then when you get out there, obviously. We already did a presentation before, so I'm not going to jump too far into that. But you just touch on, you have any questions, answer those questions, objection handlers. And then obviously every objection handler, you lead with a close that, hey, after you handle it, sign the contract. If they have another objection, you go from there, so forth and so forth. We get maybe 1 or 2 questions. With a good pre-listing package, you won't have the 2-hour-long questions of who you are, what you do, and all of that. So that's my biggest recommendation is have a good pre-listing package that you can track and make sure that you can see how much they view it and if they view it.
Okay, cool. I like that. Now, are you asking pre-qualifying questions before you even go? Do you have a list of pre-qualifying questions?
Of course, absolutely. So we use the basic Mike Ferry questions from 2002. How long have you been at home? Where would you be moving? All of those. Yes, pre-listing qualification questions are extremely important. If they are not a A+ listing client, we don't take them. We're too busy right now that we're not desperately trying to find clients. Most of the listings that come to us, they're already ready to hire me by the time they're calling me. So it's really just a go out and see your home, kind of meet you face to face. You already have the contract signed a lot of the time digitally. But for a raw client or an internet lead or that type of thing, absolutely pre-qualify, because the last thing you want to do is get out there and find that they have no motivation, or the situation that they have, they're stuck in, or the Madrid of things that can happen in real estate. You have to make sure that you're only going on listing presentations that are pre-qualified and able to sell.
All right, so I'm going to jump from Cameron down to Mr. Aztec himself, Carlos Gutierrez, my brother from another mother. He's always fired up. How's everybody doing? Let's get it going. Carlos, tell me how you're taking all these listings. I see you're getting listings all the time. Let's go through the perfect listing process, from call to questions to appointment to sign contract. Go ahead.
Get a coach and get the Mike Ferry coach. That's it right there.
Wow.
So
Did
it's
Mike,
the Mike Ferry.
wait, did Mike plant you to get on here today and say that? Are you getting
Mike Ferry,
bonuses?
the Mike Ferry sales system. Cameron Smith, good to meet you. And he, like you just said, from 2002, nothing's really changed at all. So we just follow the script. And my script book is right here. Got my script book, and I have my scripts, and you have it out and you just read the script. That's not that hard. Just ask those questions. Then when you get down to it, you go, and if I can sell your home in the next 30 days, would that pose a problem for you? How much equity is tied up in the home? Do you want to take all your equity with you when you want to move? Would you like the process to be easy and effortless for the family? Are you ready for results versus excuses? Would you like a pit bull or a poodle representing you? Was anyone shown what 6% will get you? Have you been shown a written plan to sell your home? Are you open to a professional advice? If you hired me today, what would be the 2 most important things you'd want from me? Are you ready for the good news? The good news is my second opinion only takes 15 minutes. If we agree to get together, would we both agree to keep our meeting to no more than 15 to 20 minutes? Is that okay with you? So it's just basically asking those questions. And the sooner you get to those, you're going to get a yes or a no.
And the thing I love about Carlos, he's being very humble, you guys. He has taken these scripts and he's made them his own, right? So right now he's just reading them. He's on the spot. He's trying to share with you and show you the scripts that he's using. But here's the deal. He does it consistently every day. Right now, we're in his prospecting time.
Yeah.
And that's messing up his prospecting. That's why he hopped on. He's killing it here in Southern California, and he stays on a schedule. How much do you make setting up listing appointments every day?
I went through my numbers. I'm down from the first quarter. Last year, I was at about $4,200 an hour. Now I'm down to the 2,200 range. I'm just off by about 5 listings. So that's it.
Just lacking. Do I have to be your accountability coach?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Do I have to be your accountability coach?
Yeah, let's go. We'll set it up.
Let's go.
Let's go.
All
30
right.
contacts a day. You got to have 3 to 4 hours of prospecting at least. I like Cameron's. God, if they're just calling you to list their property, geez, I'm ready. I don't get too many calls like that yet. So, but I get referrals. So just take them.
I like that. So you're constantly, so share with everyone, you're constantly calling. And who are you calling right now to get listings?
I'm circle dialing around that brand new $7 million listing on 2339 Velocitos. Not a lot of La Jolla numbers picking up right now. Nevertheless, I call around Mission Beach, PB, around right where I live. That average sales price is about $2 million now. And I'm double ending those because there's only like 2 single family homes available here, as well as get to know the neighbors. And then you just start feeding your lead list because I'm always getting calls from other agents also looking for inventory. I'm using another dialer, Arch Agent. However, I have my intern here. She's calling on Mojo, right? You're on Mojo right now. So she's just getting set up, and yeah, so just call them. And then database, 10 o'clock, I'll go into database. So I got about 45 minutes. I'll be then calling about 15 to 20 database. One of the cool things that I've done though recently is I had my assistant download my entire cell phone, and it's about 3 inches thick, double-sided, small print. And I'm just going down the list of who's not in my A database now. And then if I haven't talked to them, I call them. If I don't know who they are, I just pass them, just taking those people and then putting them down on another sheet of paper, and then making sure I call them because I know who they are just off name, and then getting their new email, getting their mailing address, if they're social media, so I can then follow up with them and make sure they get the postcard, they get an email every 2 weeks, and then that gets dropped on social media as well.
Love it. So when you're doing that, because I know before you were going after expireds and FSBOs, are you seeing many of those right now, or is the market kind of tight?
Yeah, not. I really, what Tony Smith on the last 2 years basically goes like, are you happy to driving 45 minutes to an hour, especially in traffic, to go to a for sale by owner? I'm like, no. And he goes, well, then shrink it down. We're 10, 15 minutes, maybe you got to drive. Will you be happy for that? And I go, yeah, but not a lot of FSBOs and expireds business that I'm seeing. So I just go right into circle dialing around listings.
And notice, guys, so I know Carlos really well. He's one of the top agents in his company, but here's the deal. He does it every day, consistently, fired up. He does his affirmations. He practices his scripts. Look at, he's in his house right now near the beach. Most people would be in a Hawaiian shirt and shorts, right, Mitch? But he's in a shirt and tie and looking professional, ready to go. So he's in the business mindset to make money. He knows he's making between $2,200 and $4,400 per hour.
Right.
So he has to make those calls. He has to hit his quota, right? Because numbers matter, data matters. When you're trying to get listings, you guys, and listings are like gold, you have to have a system to get the listings. Everybody's asking, what do I do to get listings? What would your advice be?
Set up accountability and make sure that you're hitting that number. And I've done it with a couple of my buddies where they send me $1,000 checks and make sure that they hit, well, at least they hit a minimum, and then they have to follow up that day. And you have to follow up because it's easy to be a freaking squirmy little worm and not do what you say you do and make your calls. My wife again reminded me this morning going, look what we get to do. I mean, that's the thing. You get to make, if you want to make a $30,000, $40,000 check every single day, all you have got to do is just pick up the phone and start making your calls. It's not that hard. However, a lot of agents won't do it just because they're afraid of the outcome, and that's being rejected. So you just got to put that away. And, you know, it starts out in the morning. And David Goggins, anybody read his Can't Hurt Me, that book, amazing book. If you haven't read it, catch him on social media. But the first things I heard is you got to do something every day that sucks. You got to do 2 things that suck. So I love you, Bella. We'll see you guys. Have a great trip. Hold on one second here. They're leaving for a little trip. Get over here. Hey, say hi to everybody. Come here. Say hi. There's Bella.
Bella, the next generation. Bella, did you do your calls today?
We did our affirmations. Yes, we did our affirmations, but she didn't join in. So give me They're going to Iowa right now to go see our cousin who graduated from a nursing school, which is her brother and my cousin. So nevertheless, you gotta do 2 things that suck. So the first thing that I do in the morning is basically I've got 2 cold plunges in my house at 39 degrees. Right when I wake up, I get my water, I get my freaking whatever I have a early morning wake up thing, and then boom, hit the cold plunge first, jacuzzi, cold plunge, and then go do the 5:30 a.m. F45, go hit that. It hurts, but you go do it. And then after you're going like, okay, get home, cup of coffee, MRE drink, and then shower, change, put the suit on, because you never know when you're going to get a call to come list someone's home. And if you say, oh, wait, hold on a second, I got to get dressed, going, what kind of professional is that?
So manifest it, right? It's the law of attraction, a lot of manifestation. You guys got to understand, by the time 8 o'clock gets around, Carlos is already at full speed. He's already fired up. He's already in the right mindset. He's already visualizing winning. He's always getting going. And that's it. Everybody else just waking up, they're drifting in. Hey, what am I going to do? I'm going to show up at 9. Well, guess what? You show up at 9, you're already 2 hours behind.
Totally.
That's
Yeah.
it.
I'll take those listings for you. So no problem. And if you want to do a referral, you just send them to me. So.
And he doesn't have to pay his brokerage anything, which is awesome.
I
Okay,
love
I'm gonna.
that. Oh, dude, I just took that $7 million listing, and when I was leaving Coldwell Banker, I went to Sotheby's the last time I listed their other one for 7.5 million, 7 point whatever it was. I left Coldwell to go to Sotheby's, and I had to blow the whole deal up and almost blow the whole thing up. Well, when they were signing it yesterday, they're going, wait a second, we want to have amendment in there stating if you leave the company, this contract is null and void. I go, I will never leave EXP. So yeah, it's one of the best companies ever been with. I started out with Prudential, Remax, back to Prudential, Berkshire Hathaway, Coldwell Banker, Sotheby's. Nothing compares to EXP, and just the fluidity. You know, we're working through the referrals. I do about 20 referrals a year. And the thing that I learned, my last assistant didn't do it, but your transaction coordinator needs to make sure that she gets that referral form so it goes right into SkySlope, and then there's no issues. Because I was getting the referral, my assistant was then doing something with it, and then there was never a SkySlope file made. So it's just a system, and it's like
Let me ask you this question. What's the hardest question you're being asked at listing presentations?
It's commission always. You know, I mean, that's probably the only thing really that matters. And if that is a question that comes up, you got the listing.
Right.
Negotiable by law. I mean, you know, you're not going to pay a dime until you get this home sold, and you want $7 million, right? Granted, I did take that one for 4 because you know, I knew I was up against some competition from their last friend that said that they should list it for like way more. And I'm like, here's the thing is, we know each other. We'll do it for, you know, reduced amount, no problem. But I'll normally get 5.5%, 6%. I take 4.
I like that. And the good news is I'm going to sell the house for you, so you got to make money, definitely. So that's awesome.
It.
All right, I'm gonna go from Carlos G, because I know you have to get back to prospect. I'm gonna go over to Matt
Carlos.
Battiata. Matt's not bragging; he's just applying for a job and getting a listing. Matty, tell us your process from the time the call comes in to how you qualify it, to how you set the appointment, when you go into the appointment, what do you bring, and what are the questions you're getting right now?
So I send out I pre-qualify them over the phone. I'd use the same script, which I've just memorized now, finding out their motivation, where they're moving to. I do ask them if they're interviewing other agents, and I do try to be the last appointment if I can. If not, I still go in. I also, when I'm on the phone with them, I ask them what's important to them in picking a real estate agent. I think that's really important. I ask a lot of questions. I email them a pre-listing packet, but they've usually already found it on our website, but I do email that out to them. I use also a bomb video that I send when I email them. Just sometimes I just send the video because just don't feel like typing an email, but I do use bomb. I think it's a good way to
Carlos 858
to meet them. And then when I go out, I do ask them lots and lots of questions. I always ask them what they do for a living. Of course, I make sure both the decision makers are going to be there. I tell them it's only going to take 20, 30 minutes at the most. But I always ask what they do for a living, because if you're all familiar with the DISC personality test, if the guy's an engineer, right, that I know what I'm dealing with. If the guy's in sales, I know what I'm dealing with, et cetera. So I ask a lot of questions while we are walking, taking the tour of the house. I also take notes, because a lot of times I have a lot of listing appointments and I'm not going to remember specific things that they may have told me. Another thing that I do typically, but I do ask them lots of questions. I know that when most agents go out there dying to tell them all about themselves. And so I spend a lot of time asking them about themselves, what they love about the house. And then also, again, what's important to them in choosing an agent. Another thing that I do that I learned a long time ago that I still do is I'll print out a list of buyers that we have in our database for that area and that price range. And I'll always at some point after I find out what's important to them. So when I say what's important to them, obviously if they say, well, we really, we bought this house at an open house, so we love open houses. Of course, I'm going to tell them open houses are great. But if they, they might also say, we don't want open houses. We don't want a sign. We don't want whatever. So I want to find that out. They'll tell you everything. They'll tell you how to sell them if you just ask them. And I think a lot of agents make that mistake that they do not ask questions. They go in there and just, tell them about their entire life story, right? Starting in third grade. But I always give them a list of buyers. And I say, if you list with me, I'm going to send a detailed description of your house and photos and stuff to all these buyers. And I give them the list. It's a printed out list. And I let them look at it, right? And then I say, if a lot of times they've already met with other agents. And I say, the other agents that you met with, did any of them talk about how many buyers they're working with that are, buyers for your home right now? And I always let them answer. And when they answer, they usually say, no, they talked about, finding how they were going to find a buyer. So that's really powerful. But I mean, it's very rare that I go out on a listing appointment that I don't get. And I think that's because I also think it's about, having a good USP that's appealing to a seller, right? And that's also how you're going to get calls for the appointments, right? So, everybody has something that they have that they do that's unique. It's just about explaining it to the seller so that they understand it. And it could be anything. You could just pull statistics off the MLS and show them that, your average market time is this, and your average percentage of asking price is this. It could be anything. We have I have a concierge program that I came up with. And all that is I have a painter and a flooring guy and a landscaper who will do work to get a house ready to sell and then agree to get paid at closing. So the seller doesn't have to come out of pocket. I don't have to put up any money for it. I've just found a good painter, a good flooring guy, et cetera, that will do the work and then just agree to get paid at closing if they list with me, right? So whatever you have that sets you apart from the competition, and I think it's really important that everybody, you gotta set yourself apart from the competition. So there's lots and lots of agents out there. Why would they list their home with you? What are you going to do differently than everybody else? And everybody, even if you don't want to have a guaranteed sale program, or you don't want to do a trade up program, or you don't want to give a guarantee, I've run so many different guarantees. I remember when I first started in real estate, my pitch was, my USP was, your home sold in under 60 days or guaranteed, or I'll pay you $1,000 cash. Obviously that probably wouldn't get very many calls these days, but you can do different variations on it. I've done, I guarantee your home sold for 100% of asking price, guaranteed, and you can do, or I'll pay you the difference, or you can do, I'll pay you $1,000, et cetera. And of course people go, well, that's really scary. Why would you do that? Well, because you're telling them where they have to list the house, what price. And if they don't list it at that price, you're not going to give them that guarantee. So all of this stuff is not new. I didn't come up with it, but it all works. But I'd say the biggest thing is asking lots of questions and having a USP that sets you apart from your competition.
Love that. Okay. Matt, great stuff. Let's go from Matty B over to Bobby Martins, best hair in the business. There he is. I know Mitch is jealous. I know Matt's jealous. Tell me, Hair Club for Men, what are you doing to get more listings?
All right. Well, this is definitely one of my favorite topics. And, as I hear all of you guys talking, I'm doing bits and pieces of what all of you are doing. And, there's success that can be had whether you do certain things a certain way. Like Carlos is definitely more like hardline. Cameron's actually not Cameron, sorry. Carlos is more like, let's go, let's sign the contract, let's do this today. Where I'm very the opposite. I went to a Mike Ferry event 20 years ago, and I left kind of feeling like, man, these guys, they're all like robots saying the same thing. And so my strategy was to do the exact opposite from day one. And so I came into appointments with just very no pressure. And, like Matt, I would find out as many questions as possible. But unlike Matt likes to be last. I actually like to be first because I want to go in there and close on that first appointment as much as possible. And because if I say I want to be last, well, I might not get to be last. I might not make it there because somebody else closed. I've had those calls in the past where they said, people have called me and said, hey, we already went ahead and went with somebody. So we're going to go, we're going to cancel our appointment. So ever since that time, I decided, let me be first, let me close. And some of the things that I would do is set landmines for other agents. So one of the examples would be, talking about buyers. I would show them my database with 15,000 buyers in it and say, look, I've got tons of buyers, but I don't want a single buyer in your home until we're actually on the market and ready to go, because I don't want to sell it myself. I want the whole world to see your property. My number one goal of the entire thing is to make my client feel like the equity is the most important thing. I'm the protector of your equity is something I always tell them. So in the phone call, the very first phone call, I'm finding out everything they can. I'm trying to send emails with information about the team before I go out. The more you can send them beforehand, a video, a marketing video. We've been using a thing called Cato, which is a pretty cool program that allows you to kind of put all these different things on it, and you can customize it with photos of their property. So it's kind of like a personalized marketing website. So on that first appointment, I always bring a gift, usually water bottle or coffee mug. Some people will bring, apple pies, but be prepared to eat some of that apple pie and watch your waist grow if you do. So don't, that's why I don't do that. But I always like to start with a tour of the home. I ask them questions about, what did you do to the property? What issues are with the property? Is there anything that needs to be addressed? I like Matt, I've got arrangements with people. I've even wrote checks and given advances for things to get done if need be, because the way I look at it is, if we're going to stay in this industry as tech grows, listing agents are going to be the most important thing, and we have to provide more services than ever before. We can't just sell the house. And so that's actually something I talk about, is we're here to manage the whole process. And I really sell our system. You're not just hiring one agent, you're hiring a whole system of people that are going to help you sell your house. And I sell the team approach, because if you have a top negotiator, that top negotiator doesn't want to knock on all the doors and do all the extra stuff, make the phone calls, circle prospecting around the listings. Like a brand new agent, I don't say brand new agent, but a newer agent, and so I talk about the hunger of my team. We got 24 agents on the team now, and so we're all going to be helping to get the word out about your listing. And then we show them the marketing stuff that we do. We're always doing videos and 3D tours and all that stuff. But in the tour is really where I win the listing. I just you listen to them, you have a good conversation, make sure you got the eye contact, let them talk a majority of the time. And then you just got to come off as somebody who really cares about what their needs are. And again, I just sell the ease of how the process is going to be, and make people feel comfortable. I do a two-system approach. I don't like to talk about price of the home on that first listing meeting, because I don't want them picking me because of the price. And so I actually just sit there, I go through everything, I go through our marketing, we may talk about commission, we'll talk about the process. And I tell them, just like an appraiser would, appraisers are going to come over to your property and they're going to look at the property first and then go look at the comps, because there's so many details in a home, especially like in your more unique communities. Obviously, there's some communities that it's very easy to price it out, and I might just go on do a one trip, but I actually don't even make a second trip on that. What I'm doing is I go over 20 to 30 minutes, sit down with them, and then I go back, do the CMA, put together the CATO, send that to them, and I do a bomb video walking them through the comps. By the time we've already done that, they've really already picked me. And then it's just a matter of sending over the paperwork once we decide on the price. One of the things I am selling at the appointment is pricing at 3 to 5% below the comps, because then you're creating that bidding war. And then the other thing I'm selling is 7 days of marketing, 4 days of showings, and then a bidding war starting Tuesday at 10. I always say this is not a race, because it isn't. This is their equity. Realtors want to make it a race, and they want to sell your house. They want to double end it. They want to do all these things. So I'm actually the anti-realtor to a lot of these on these appointments. I make it clear that I'm not here just like every other realtor. Why? Because we are just right above used car salesmen. So if you're walking in and you're basically using that used car salesman lingo, they're going to feel that. And so I hope, I hope I don't offend any of you guys who do the other stuff, because like I said earlier, there's a lot of ways to sell in this industry, and you got to work with or do what works best for you. This method has worked best for me, just has allowed me to close at a very high rate, probably over 90% of my listings that I go on. So it's actually my number one thing that I love to do the most out of anything that I do, is just going and on that first appointment and meeting with people and setting up the stage. Here's the best part. I usually don't even have to go back to the property maybe one more time right before it goes on the market, after the preparation's been done, might do some videos or something, but I'm not doing the open houses. My team is doing that. They're getting listings. And here's another thing that we've started to do is, I'm telling sellers that we'll door knock the neighborhood before their house goes on the market and offer the trade-in option to their neighbors. Because imagine if you're in a neighborhood that you absolutely love, but you don't have a view, and we got a listing with a view, well, guess what? They would definitely want to do the trade-in. And so that's another way for us to get a hot buyer, and we can get them approved in 72 hours. So a little twist on it, and bringing in more people. Plus, at the open houses, the agents are talking about the trade-in as well, and utilizing that as a way to get people's information, to send them more information about it. So anyways, that's about it. Anybody have any questions?
Well, I think the big thing too, he does hypnotize people with his hair when he comes into that appointment too.
Enough with the hair, Pete. Damn. Would you get some Rogaine already?
He's just jealous. Bobby, he's just jealous.
We're jealous. So listen, we're aging disgracefully. I'm going to go from Bobby to Dennis. Dennis, when you're going in, trying to take mid-range listings or high-end listings, what's your process? What are you coming across? What's shifting in the market, and what are you dealing with seller mindset right now?
Yeah, so I mean, the two big things that sellers want, everybody, and just if you go with this in your mind, you'll do better. So they want the most money and they want convenience, those two things. So if you can always remember that as you're walking through, that's going to help you a lot. Now, what I do, I take a little bit of everything. Matt talks about days on market, statistics. Bobby talked about some things. So I put all of that in my PowerPoint presentation. So I'm never winging it. I go in with my laptop. It's old school. I've been doing it for 15 years and it works great. And I just go through the PowerPoints about 20 minutes long. And by the end of it, they're seeing exactly how I'm going to sell their house, because that's really what they want to know. They want to know, how are you going to sell my house? Not talking a bunch of fluffy stuff. So we get into statistics, our marketing plan, what we do, what websites, and then at the end, we have a bunch of testimonials. So that's basically my listing presentation. Like Matt, I always try to go in last. I know Bobby doesn't like to do that, but I've been burnt before. And if I'm going through a listing and I find out that they're doing another appointment, I'll do a two-step like Bobby mentioned. So I won't give them the comps, I won't give it all to them. And I just tell them that, we need to see you one more time with the statistics, but just make sure, I make them promise that they're not going to sign with anybody until they see me again. And it usually works.
And so you come back around usually.
Do a two-step, yeah. But I always try to find out if they're interviewing other agents, and I do try to go in last, always.
Okay, cool. That's
Yeah.
good. I like that.
And what I tell them is this, I say, hey, Pete, just so you know, I know you're meeting with other agents. I want you to meet all those other agents first, okay? Just so when I come see you, I can show you what I do differently than they do. And then you can make a decision from there. And they're like, that makes sense. And you're in. So.
I like let me show you what I do differently.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good stuff. All right, I'm going to go from Dennis up to Brian Yarber. He's been out fishing. He's back. He caught a bunch of big mouth bass and he's ready to go.
Brook trout.
Sorry, trout.
Everything I've heard, exactly like Dennis said, bits and pieces. Some of these guys are in my marketplace, so I'm coming in before or after them, have in the years. And I just love what everybody's saying. If you're a brand new agent here, my listing of perfect, the question was the perfect listing process. So my perfect listing process, I do not recommend for newer agents. Okay. And I'm going to go into the newer agent, but my perfect listing process today is referral listings. And typically in the referral listing, I'm making a phone call, talking to the referral agent, or excuse me, the referral client, if I haven't already represented them. So a lot of them are just repeats, family repeats. I have a different listing process for that. Today, it's typically I run an RPR report. I come up with a range. I send that over because it satisfies the engineer and it satisfies the newbie, seller, whatever. So when they see it, it just gives them a range, and we talk about that over the telephone, and then that sets up my appointment. I go over and see them. I want to see the property. Maybe it's been 10. I have one right now that just called me and she said, hey, Brian, you remember me? You sold us our house in 1989 and you were young and we were young and our water didn't work. And you took us over to your parents' house and we showered there and we had a little boy. Do you remember us? And I'm like, yeah, I do, And so she lives in like Prescott, Arizona now. Her son is like 30 and having a baby and lives in that house. And they just said, are you too busy to help us? And I said, absolutely not. And so that was my listing appointment. That was it. We're done. It's, it's going on the market this week. So that's a process that you earn later. But going back to the question, and I'm picking and choosing, Cameron said something that is super important. When I'm teaching agents a listing process, one of the things, if you're brand new, if you're a mentee, you've got a mentor, or you're just now soloing for the first time, the question is Cameron said, use your team. So when I was at Berkshire Hathaway or at Remax, what we would do is we would say, hey, pull up all the sales our office had in the area and present that as a pre-listing packet. So they don't put you on the spot when you get there. Just show them, hey, here's what our team has sold in your neighborhood. And that is a credibility package that needs to precede you. So you don't have to talk about it in a way that puts you in a compromising position, because now you might have to feel like you're making something up if you weren't a part of those sales. So don't do that. Just send a credibility package that says, here's what we've done. Here's how, what we've done in the area. And those people, they'll be familiar with those properties, but they won't remember who sold them. It's just part of your team. Okay. That's really important what Cameron said. The question that Matt was talking about, I ask a lot of questions too. The most important question I think I can ask today of it, if it's a referral that I haven't sold the property to, or if it's a home that I haven't really, seen before because I didn't sell it to them, but they are a referral, is take me back to when you first saw this home and tell me about your process when you bought it. What Matt was saying is that you'll find out if they like open houses or not. I don't want to have an open house conversation in my listing appointment if I know they don't like open houses, because they're going to tell me right up front. And what they're going to do is they're going to say, oh, it didn't have a lockbox. And it took us 3 days to get in, and it was a pain in the butt and this and that. And our agent had a heck of a time trying to get us an appointment. Hey, well, how do you feel about lockboxes? Oh, we want one, right? So I'm going to learn real quickly in this question, how was your process? Do you want your buyers to go through that? And now I can add and remove to my actual listing presentation what I know is going to stand out, what's going to be most important to them. Because again, if they don't like open houses, I don't even bring it up. Like, we don't even talk about open houses. So that's great. And then if you find out, some of you guys know who Mike Gallagher is, Michael Gallagher. He was a big ferry guy. I worked with Michael for 5 years. One of the best listing scripts he ever gave me is make sure you don't commit until we meet. You're going to be hot. If you're in a hot market and you're not first, you let that seller know, listen, the other agent is going to try to prove to you they're a strong negotiator. They're going to work you hard. They're going to want you to commit. They're going to want to call us to cancel all the other points. They'll actually tell you, hey, I know you're going to see other agents. Why don't you give me those numbers and I'll just give them a call and let them know I've already listed the property. When they start to do that, you know what that means? They're also going to try to convince you to take the first offer, which could be the lowest offer. I don't want to commit to doing that. I'm gonna set them up for failure, right? Because I don't want to come in. Happened to Robert Wolf and I one time. Robert Wolf, he was waiting in the driveway. I walked out and I said, Robert, we just listed the property, because I knew he was coming. And so we reversed the script. And it was, the guy was highly desperate. He was going to jail, so he had to list his home that night. And then what other thing I do is when I'm sitting there, I let them know, listen, you might be interviewing and we recommend you do, but I want you to know I work with every top agent in the city. Here's a list of all the agents that I know who have probably the buyer for your home. And chances are they already have the buyer. So my goal is when we list your property, the first people who get the coming soon announcement is going to be all the top agents, so their buyer teams can start working on this property. I want them to drive by your house. We use the coming soon a lot now. It wasn't really available back when I was a listing agent, but that coming soon today is what I use to provide information to the best teams, the top agents, the ones that I know they might be interviewing, because those are the ones I want to, again, disarm with the opportunity to come in and win that listing. So I think that's it.
I love the Michael Gallagher question. That's great. That was a great question.
Yeah.
Make sure you don't commit to any other agent until we meet. I love that.
And he did like Cameron. He sent over the pre-listing packet, had his team send it all over. I had to go and represent him a few times as a listing agent because he was traveling or whatever. He had too many appointments. And so I would show up and he would give me this script every single time. Brian, when you get there, ask them if they received my package, if they had a chance to review it. And based on what they reviewed, have they made the decision to get going? And you pull out your listing and just set it on the table and it's already pre-filled out with everything but their signatures. And just say, we can get going right now. And really my goal would be to let's go around the house together so you can show me what you're going to do, what stays, what doesn't stays. I'm going to build my MLS remarks right now.
I love that. Get this going. I like that. That's closed right now. Because a lot of people are ready to get going. They want to get through the process and get on the market. You have to know their motivation. All right, I'm going to go from Brian over to Mitch in Florida. Mitch, when you were taking listings all the time in Florida, what was your process or your perfect process to get a listing every time? You got to unmute, Mitch. That's one way not to get the listing.
Yes, well, I heard a lot of people just don't want to hear me talk anymore because they're sick of me. But so the cool thing, by the way, if you do a really, really good job of this, your first 4 or 5 years in the business, you very seldom have to go find new business. It all finds you. I mean, I haven't looked for business in 15 years. And I haven't really, except for now, because we've slowed down with everything we're doing, but I've always made a couple $100,000 a year working 100 hours a week selling houses. So if you actually really build really good systems in place, the systems work for you. It's great. So listings for me, I'm probably the least polished of everybody here because I'm pretty unique in my style. I very much am a wing it person because, and the reason being, I know that surprises some people, especially with all the internet stuff I did. But the reason being is every single person is completely different. And I want to be their friend. And part of the reason why I've never had to really look for business for the past 18 years now, literally 18 years, I've not done one bit of prospecting, not one. It is because the relationships I've built with all my listings have been so amazing and my buyers that they just continue to call me. And I get about 80 calls a year to buy or sell property. So let's talk about it. So let's talk about my listing. So I'm an unorganized mess that knows exactly what he's doing, if that makes sense. First thing I do, I'm always in a suit. I would never go on a listing appointment without being in the suit. I did give up the tie a while back. It is Florida, but I'm in a suit every time I go there. If there's a dog, I am immediately on the ground, immediately. And that dog is slobbering all over me. I got hair all over my suit. I know I got a big dry cleaning bill coming up, but I have all over that dog. And they'll talk, sorry, so I got to play the dog for a minute. And honestly, I can't tell you how many times I've heard immediately, you're the guy. Our dog doesn't love everybody that much. It's over. No, I don't even, there's not any more presentation. Now I just got to tell them the price and come sign the paperwork. It's that simple. But you have to be prepared. You have to walk in knowing what you walk into. You have to know a little bit about your customers. I try to actually, the past several I've gone on Facebook and try to stalk the people. So if I learn a little bit about people before I go on the appointment, sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. My entire thing is building relationships. I go in, we walk around the house. I don't let them talk about the little nicks and things about the house. I really want to get through that fairly quickly. I really want to ask them about their family and ask them why they're moving. Everything that you guys ask, I ask the same questions. My whole path of life is humor. So I always get them laughing, always. And I've learned how to take it in. We have a lot of people say, well, it's not rocket science. Well, actually, where we are, it's rocket science. We have a lot of rocket scientists here in the Space Coast. Had a great launch last night, by the way. Amazing. But shook the whole house. It's awesome. Love that stuff. But anyway, so I ask questions while I'm touring the house. I'm asking questions while, and this is no caffeine, by the way, pretty amazing. And the biggest question is about their family. Because if I get to know their family and they get to know my family, they're a customer for life. Immediately, every single time. We start talking about prices. I will, especially in the day when I had 100,000 people in my database, we could sort our database by price and area. So I'd say right now I have 627 people in my database looking for a house in your price range in your area. Guaranteed listing every time, every time. And I showed them that. I pull up the database, do the search right in front of them, and get the listing every time. So if you do have a lot of buyers, you need to explain that to them and keep track of the price ranges and areas of your buyers, so you can use that in your listing presentations. And then we get down to price, and price is important. So I always ask, so what do you guys think your house is worth? Now I know what they know. They went on to Zillow and looked, right? We all know that. And so that lets me know where I've got to go in the conversation. By the way, I don't have a pre-listing practice. I should have. I like the idea. I never did it. I don't go to I don't have a PowerPoint. I go in with 3 pieces of paper, with maybe 6. Anything that's sold, anything that's active, anything that's pending. That's my stuff. That's all I have. And by the way, this is with people I don't know too. I don't care. It's the same presentation for everybody, except just different by where they take me. So when they tell me the price is worth $400,000 and I know it's worth $450, again, I won the listing. If they say it's 400, it's worth 350, now I know I got to work a little bit. And I really just go over the costs. Like, one of the things I don't do is I don't make up the prices. The prices are the price. I mean, I can lie to you and tell you what other realtors will tell you, that whatever you want to hear, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell you the truth. And I'm very sincere and honest, which I am anyways. So it makes it really, really simple. And then we get into the marketing a little bit. Oh, then I say, and one of the things, and you guys have heard me say this before, one of the really important things about marketing your home is pricing it correctly, not necessarily value, but pricing it correctly. And we do that by pricing things right on the level. And I'll open up my computer and show them, see how this person priced that $400,000 home at $399.9. That person, that agent, for $100 gave up 50% of the marketing. They're like, what are you talking about? I go, well, people search between 350 and 450. Anybody searching from 4 to 450 will never see your house. Yeah, because so-and-so told me to list at $399. I like to be the last person too, for the same reasons. And then I'll ask them, so what did so-and-so tell you to list for? And it's always $399, $499, whatever the number is. And so what I said the difference between someone who understands marketing and someone who just sells real estate is the pricing of your property. And that person gave up 50%. So not only did they give up 50%, but your house is now the most expensive house that they're seeing. And now, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, or Ms. Seller, you got to be careful what you say these days. Which, if you're going to buy a house today, would you be the highest price point you have, or the lowest price point? Nobody wants to spend the most amount of money they can spend. They always want the lowest. Everybody, 100% says that. So I said, well, you're the most expensive house. So you'll be the last house they look at if you list with somebody else is going to list it at 399.9. With us, you're going to be the lowest price house of the 4 to 450 range. It's pretty simple, right? And then, so I've already, by the way, I've already got the listing. I can tell immediately when I have the listing. It's you can see in their eyes. The wife melts because I'm so good looking, and it's pretty simple. And then finally, I talk about. Let me just explain my marketing a little bit for you. I'm a little unique in my marketing because I'm an expert at internet. In fact, I'm known as the godfather of internet lead conversion all over North America. And I tell people that, and they go, "What do you mean?" I go, "I'm so good at marketing that your listing is going to show up on every local and every broker website around here. So not only all my buyers and my 530 agents that we have in Brevard County, Florida, that are with my organization, with my brokerage, not only we have that, we're going to have everybody else's buyers calling their agents, hey, I want to see that house because of our internet marketing. Now, here's the beauty of that. Every single person has that. It's called IDX, right? But nobody says that. I've never been an agent that says that. And so those two things have really set me apart in my marketing. Three things: having fun, not making this. It is not. I know it's a serious thing for them. You have to lighten it, right? Getting into your family. I always talk about Lola, my granddaughter, and her disease. I talk about my rock band that I play with my grandkids. Those are melting opportunities, especially with the wives, and they do. They love that stuff. When they know you're really a family person, they want to work with people. They don't want to work with salespeople. They want to know you can do the job, which I show that in the stuff that I do. But they really want to work with human beings. That's it. So I'm very unorthodox. I'm not a normal person. Most of you guys know that.
I like that. And people are always going to work with people they like and relate to. That's a big thing, you guys. I think a lot of agents forget that. They just stick to scripts and they kind of pull up without going in with a strategy or a story or the right questions to connect with people and create that relationship. Because people want to work with people they like. People want to work with people they trust. People want to work with people who have their back or have their best interests in mind. And a lot of times agents don't have that. So I'm going to go from Mitch over to Randy. And I don't know if you guys know this, but Mitch's name, if you look it up, it really means canine. So he's part canine. Randy, how are you doing your listing presentations to get a guaranteed listing every single time? Walk me through your process.
Yeah, so most of you guys know from the panelists is that I started dealing with a lot of investors from the beginning because that's kind of my upbringing, right? Being a flipper first, realtor second. So that's kind of a unique niche, right, that I carved out. So my presentations there are not that difficult in a sense because, it's very numbers driven. And I focus a lot about me negotiating for every $1,000 for them because I've done it myself, selling my own flips. So I can relate to them very easy, right? So that's number one. So maybe once you have your kind of unique niche that you can relate to, the listing presentation becomes easier and easier. And usually I'll do it once. And then after that, I'll get multiple listings from the same client over and over every year, few a year. So that was kind of my strategy because of how I started in real estate, right? So kind of find your niche. That would be my number one kind of, advice, because then like what you hear from everybody here, the business actually becomes easier and it comes to you, right? You don't have to work hard to get it, right? So that's one. I did put in all the questions in there that we use that Brian actually helped me come up with for our team years ago. So I added it to the chat. So feel free to download it. I'm not going to go through it because it has similar things that were already talked about by everybody. What I will say is, talking about investors, one of the investors is actually on listening right now. He is now wanting to be a full-time realtor. His name is Kevin Hamilton. He is on the Zoom as an attendee, which is awesome. And the cool thing about it is that I listed, I believe, maybe 2 or 3 of their flips in the past few years. But now Kevin, who was the investor with his dad, now has his license. He's on our team, and now he locked up the last 2 flips that he's locked up. We listed it together. So then there is an opportunity of working together because that ties back to what you guys are saying. If you're a newer agent, team up with someone that knows what they're doing, right? So Kevin I already have a relationship with him from the investor agent relationship, but now we're agents selling his own flip together, right? And you know, if you go into that niche, expect to make less money because you're not going to charge the full 5% or 6%. Just being very upfront with you guys, investors, it's all about the bottom line and the margin, right? So just know that. However, it's more volume based, right? Less work, to be honest, right? Because I don't have to do a listing presentation each time. And I love what Bobby said. I think landmine. I'm going to show my screen real quick. If I can't. Who can let me show my screen? Because you've seen this before, Pete. It looks like it won't let me. The done for you marketing, because that's a landmine.
Do it up.
Can someone give me the ability to? Oh, there you go. So I love the landmine paraphrases. I showed this to you, Pete, and this is going to come back, right? In this market, this is not as important because we put the house on the market and it sells in a day. However, market is shifting already, and I can tell you, this is something that I've used with my team a lot. And what I say is like, look, agents, what I can tell you, they tell you all the things they're going to do for you. And I know from experience, because I've had other agents list my own flips because they brought me the deal. They actually don't show me what they've done once I list the home with them. When I ask them, it's like crickets, right? I was like, well, guess what? I solved that for every one of my clients. You will get a report, a listing activity report every Monday at 5 p.m. like clockwork. And it's going to look exactly like this. This is the listing I just had that I took last week. They got a report. They click on their image of their home. It takes them to their own website that we've created for their address. It welcomes them. This is their names. Hello, Alan and Margarita. So it's very customized. This is their photo of their home. And then we just put simple things in there. 1 week on the market, how many open houses we done, the big numbers from the 2 biggest websites for now that we list, just so they see big numbers, dates of the open houses. They could click on the showing feedback. We say, look, we asked 10 questions of every agent that holds your open house. And if they don't answer those questions, they are no longer on our list. They are not allowed to do open houses. So I can guarantee you're going to get precise feedback of these 10 questions every single time. And it's going to be very transparent to you because it's going to be right in our report. So what I say to them is like, look, I don't want you to feel like you need to reach out to me and text me and call me after each showing and open house. I was like, we put it all in this document, in this report. We want to make it really simple for both of us. So you see how transparent we are, and you can learn about your property from the real people that are giving you the feedback about our house, because we might miss something. You and I, we might miss something. We think your house is great, and we might find out something that's like, oh my goodness, that's an easy fix. Let's do that, right? Because I don't want to be the agent of bad news, right? And telling them like, oh, you should really not do this, do that. Like they might not take that because everybody thinks their house is the best, period, right? So I'd rather wait for the feedback. And then I tell them, look, you're gonna see links on the report to every single biggest website out there. You click on it, it will take you right to it. So they could click on any one of these. It will take them right to their listing, including my social media accounts. And then I was like, any marketing pieces we create, any collateral, you will see. I was like, I'm not just telling you that I'm going to do it and then never show you. You're actually going to see it. You can click on it. It will take you to a folder where you can click on the flyers that we've created, the postcards. Everything that we do is very transparent. And I would ask them, I was like, so if you're interviewing other agents, I would challenge you, just ask them, like, how are they going to show you what they do for marketing after it's listed? Not before, because that's the easy part. Everyone can talk a big game, but what are they going to do on a weekly basis to show you what they're doing for you? And that's kind of how that's my landmine, because I already know 99% of agents don't do any reporting.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Yeah, that's the big thing. You got to communicate, Randy. And what program do you use to put all this together? Was it Zelle? What was
this is a Wix website that we just customized ourselves, and I just rinse and repeat. Now it's a template. So this template, we just copy it, change the photo, change the numbers, change the links, done. Like it's simple.
I love it. Wix, W-I-X, not to be confused with Twix. that Randy eats all the time. It's Wix.
Wix.
Wix.com. You can get those and set up a site like this. And it's great because people, all they want to know is what's happening. Keep me on the inside. What's going on? What's the feedback? All you are is delivering the message. You're not the bad guy if you're delivering the message. You're the honest guy telling them the truth based on what people are saying.
And
right?
like, today I have a listing appointment via Zoom because they're out of South Dakota. I'm just going to pull this up. When they ask me
There
like,
you go.
what
I love that.
marketing, I just pull this up. I'm like, this is it. Here we go. This is where you're gonna. I don't have to tell them, talk about me and who I am and whatever. It doesn't matter. They want to know what are we going to do for their property marketing wise. I just show them this, and literally that's usually is enough.
Okay, Randy, make me the host again, please, and so we can get back to it. And
I don't know how to do that, but
just click on the 3 dots next to my name.
Okay, cool.
There you go. All right, excellent. So this has been great. You know, I love the Wix website. I like all the insight that everybody was given and sharing today, because there's a lot of different ways to have the perfect listing process, you guys. The main thing is you got to ask questions. You need to know their motivation. You know, is it a time factor or is it a money factor? Is it a life situation or is it a business situation? You have to find out what's really motivating them to go through the pain of selling their house, because it's not easy. Then you have to walk them through on how to get it prepped, to show it in the best light, if they're open to that. Some people aren't. They're just not open to it. They said, I want to sell it the way it is and so forth. And the biggest tip I can give everyone that's going to separate yourself from everybody else, every other agent out there, recommend getting a pre-listing inspection, a pre-listing termite, and get all the disclosures signed up front so you have a full package ready to go, so nobody's playing games. But we got a lot of great tips today. It's 10:02. We're a little bit over. Join us next week. We're going to show you how to find people that were trying to sell, who couldn't get it done, who still may be looking to sell. And those are ways to get in front of those people, show up with all of these skill levels or these skill sets and these unique selling propositions, and get them back on the market before this market starts settling and normalizing. That's the big thing. All right. Happy hunting, everyone. Everybody have a great weekend. Great input. Thanks, guys. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Invite somebody. Everybody bring somebody on. Get the link, send it to anybody you know, and have them come on so we can 5-10x everybody's production. That's our goal. All right. Have a great week, guys.
All right, guys.
Everybody, see you guys.